Welcome to the NoDQ Round Table. In this series, members of the NoDQ panel will give their answers to a wrestling question submitted by one of their colleagues. Let us now take a look at what today's question is.
Now, my question for the panelists is, if you could change one thing about AEW that you believe would make it more viable competition for the WWE, what would it be and why?
First off, I would tell Tony Khan to not worry about WWE.
If I could change one thing about AEW, Tony Khan would no longer be in charge of AEW's creative direction.
Simply, an actual booker.
Tony Khan can still run AEW as president. He can still make the pay-per-view matches. But as far as weekly television goes, I think the one thing that could give AEW a better opportunity at being able to compete with WWE would be for Tony Khan to step aside and let somebody else take creative control of the weekly AEW television shows.
Someone who is writing creative that is not Tony Khan and his little group of buddies. Anybody else, bring in Scott D'Amore. I think he would be a good fit if, he could be there. That's literally it. They have no consistent booking, and if it is, it's crap.
The booking of some of the wrestlers, you bring in all these great wrestlers, you use them for a little bit, and then after a while you just stop using them, and you go back and forth every week with different wrestlers, and you can't keep momentum with them. Take Wardlow for instance. Supposed to be this big thing in AEW, and I don't know if it was with injuries or if it was just Tony didn't know what to do with him, but he was at a high, then at a low, and then at a high again, back and forth. So it's like, do something, Tony. And I think that's just like one of the main reasons why I haven't watched AEW in a couple of months is because of the booking.
You're the alternative. Go back to when it was like in 2019. The alternative. Some of us fans were dying for something new. WWE was the only game in town, and they were doing their thing, and it was competition is a great thing. But Tony needs to get out of this mentality that it's do or die.
For me, storylines.
If one thing about AEW that I would want to change is probably their focus on both storytelling and the women's division. I think what helps it has that fresh look of competition to it, but I think it focuses too much on the combat in the ring, like going a Hellfire, versus being a bit more theatrical in this world where people are more interested probably in a short-run reality show than an actual athletic contest.
A little bit of story goes a long way, and to me, that's really is the best thing that I love about AEW is those characters. I want to see more of that put to more of the wrestlers. There's a lot of great wrestling talent, but just imagine if you tune in and every time someone comes out, oh, you know what this story's going to be, you know what that's going to be. Look at the Attitude Era.
And the fans need to let go of this war. There is no war. What happened in the Attitude Era was something once in a lifetime, literally once in a lifetime, never going to happen again, and that's fine. If TBS went to Tony and said, we're going to put you on Monday nights at 8 o'clock, AEW would be done. If Tony was told they're going on Friday nights, he would be done as well. Stay the course as you are, the alternative, but not the alternative in a competitor way, just the other brand.
I think they just need to kind of end each episode by having something very strong happening on the show. Whether it's a really great match with an ending where someone comes out and makes it more interesting, or just a solid match, where it was with two competitors. Like Edge and Christian had Cope had a great match with Christian to close out one episode of Dynamite with the Brawl for Canada, and Edge won the TNT Championship through there. they need endings like that. They need strong endings or great promos and segments to build up the stories just to continue. I think that would be a great starting point. There's plenty more that can be done, but I think I've said enough there, so let's get some stronger endings.
I don't think they're going to compete with WWE for a while. I think lighting and production change would make a big difference in increasing eyeballs to the product. And I think that's their biggest bet, is to the presentation of the entire thing.
That concludes this edition of the NoDQ Round Table. What were your thoughts on the question? Leave a comment and subscribe to the NoDQ YouTube channel for the latest wrestling news and discussion.